What's going on, everybody? I'm Jason. This is Tennessee Mountain Homestead, and today we're working on the pump house. Now there's a video that I showcased this pump house, how it got here, how we built it, and all that. But the other night we had a major storm and major flooding. Which knocked our pump house out. This is our main water source. So we're gonna get it back online and we're gonna show you that process. So a couple days ago, like I was saying, we got major flooding. And this thing would have flooded no matter what because the water came up above this concrete threshold. However, I learned a lot because this is the first time it's flooded that bad since I built this concrete form around the whole thing. I thought it was gonna be like a bathtub and keep the water out, but that's not the case. Apparently, there's a crack or a space between the tank underground and the top of the slab for this thing. And the water can move underground very quickly because this thing flooded without water even being around it. It came up with the level of the creek. It came up and there was about 4 inches of water above the slab in this thing, and it was all muddy. And then when the creek went down a little bit during the day, the water level went back down, and it all happened pretty fast. So water can come and go out of this thing as it pleases. We're gonna try to address that in the future, but right now we're trying to get this thing back online. So what we've done so far is put a sump pump in that tank down there, and we pumped all the muddy water out. The next thing we're gonna do is go around and clean the intake. Check this out. So if you watched the other video about how we built this, what I'm standing on is essentially a septic tank. It's been here for probably 50 years. I'm not the one who installed it, but I do know that that's what it is. And it's about 1,000 gallons. So right now we've pumped it out, but it's full of mud. And obviously the floor of this place has a layer of silt on it and mud just from the water coming in here. Now we're gonna clean the tank out good, but like I was saying, let's go outside and I'll show you what the intake looks like. So what we've got here is an in-ground junction box that I put here several years ago when I put this thing together. There's a piece of 4-inch conduit that goes underground and it shows back up in the creek over here. Right there where Stefan's at, you can see the pipe under the water. Now, there was, the other day, just before the flood happened, we had about a 300 or 400 pound piece of rock or concrete slab. It was a rectangle shape that used to be there in front of the pipe to keep stuff from collecting on top of the pipe. But that's gone, it washed away. And then the pipe was completely covered by rock and river rock and silt. So we uncovered that a little while ago. But normally there's a piece of like screen or pipe sock, I guess you'd call it, over top of the end of the intake. And we had a piece of hardware cloth under that, and it was zip tied on there real tight. But that flood and everything else that was going by here ripped it off. So the pipe is now full of rock and debris. So there's a foot valve inside of that, comes out of here. This is what we got. We got a 1-inch PVC pipe coming from the pump inside there. This is a 1-inch PVC pipe union. This is flexible, I guess, irrigation pipe. It's also 1-inch trade size, and it goes down through this cap into that 4-inch pipe, and there's a foot valve down inside the creek in the elbow with that pipe down there. What we got to do is take this out and then try to fish something through, like a rope and a rag, and try to rip it through the pipe and get all the debris out. And what I've already done, I got the air compressor out here, and we're gonna try to blow some of that out and loosen it up. So check it out, look in the creek right there. There we go. pretty clear already. But we still do need to get a rope in there and try to get whatever rocks might be in there out. Let's go ahead and do that now. So the way I do this, simply unscrew the union. Just like that. And then this cap is not glued on there or anything, it's just over the top. And the main reason I have this on here is just to keep debris from going down the pipe from this side. Just like that. And now we can just pull this straight out of the pipe. You have to watch out. And there's our foot valve. So Stefan went to go get a fish tape. You'll see what that is. It's an electrical thing. And some rope and a cloth, and we're gonna drag through this thing and clean it out. All right, so this is a fish tape. It's basically a steel piece of, I don't know what you would call this, but it's flexible, hardened steel. It's on a roll, and we use this in the electrical trade to go through pipes to pull wire. So Stefan's feeding it down in there, and it should show up here in the junction box. There it is. All right.
Where's that rope at?
All right, I got these rags tied to the fish tape, and I've got a rope tied to that so I can pull it back if I have to. We're gonna pull it through the pipe now. Go ahead, Stefan. I think we're good. If there was any rocks or anything, it would have came out just then. So I think we're good. We're gonna put this back together. Then we gotta go clean that tank out. We gotta get in there with shop vacs and stuff, vacuum all that out and clean it so that mud doesn't mix with the new fresh water we're gonna pump in. Here, hold this back there. We're gonna go ahead and reinsert our foot valve. One more thing before we go inside the pump house and start in there. We made a new piece of hardware cloth to go over the end of that pipe, and then we're gonna put this piece of pipe sock. It's like a screen, if you will. We're gonna cut that and stretch it over top of this and put we're gonna put some screws in it this time and not just zip ties. Now our intake is back in shape, it's complete. We're gonna go get started cleaning that thing up inside. Moving back inside the pump house. we're gonna start the process of cleaning the tank out. And what that entails basically is we use shop vacs, wet dry vacs. And the boys are a lot smaller than I am for now. And they're gonna get down in the tank, in the holes. There's one on each side. And they just basically vacuum out the silt that's in the bottom. And then we'll use rags and whatnot. And then the last thing we'll do is clean the surface in here, get all the mud out, and mop it up. So check this out. Stefan is going to pull up. This side still has the concrete lid. And this is the larger side of the tank over here. And this is where we pick up, with this pump, the fresh water out of the tank and pump it into the house. So one boy is gonna be in there, I think Jace or Stefan, well, I don't know who. And someone's gonna be down in this one. And this is the side that the pump pulls water out of the creek, runs it through a couple filters. And this is the side that has the filler PVC pipe. So we're gonna just not harp on this too much, not film too much of this, but that's what we're gonna do. Buddy?
I think there's a minnow that's alive still.
A minnow is in there?
No, is there salamanders?
Salamanders in there?
Might be a minnow.
Can you get it?
It's definitely
Is it a minnow?
it's a salamander.
Get it out, and I'll put it back in the creek.
Is it a kind of poisonous kind?
No, it's not poison. Get him out. Just grab him.
The catch. Got him by the tail. Better not fall off on me. Oh, salamander, do that.
Here, put him in my hand.
Definitely a salamander. Get off.
I got him. All right, little guy. He's back in the water. So the tanks are vacuumed out about as good as we're gonna get it. So what we're gonna do next is start filling the tank a little bit. And then once it gets to a certain point, if the water is a little bit cloudy from any residual silt that's in the tank, we're just gonna turn on the hose bib, but I'll show you in a second. We'll turn the hose bib on that's before any filtration, and we'll just pump the muddy water out into the creek. So before we put any water back in the tank though, there is definitely a large crack, and the tank itself sits, you know, down under here. It's not perfectly level and it probably moves a little bit, I don't know, maybe. But there's a space that varies in width between the slab that we walk on in here and that tank itself. And the space under there is enough that Stefan can put his fingers and feel dirt. So that's definitely where a lot of the underground water that travels through, and I mean the creek's right there, right? So when that gets high, the water table right here in this immediate area also gets high, and that water just comes right in and fills our tank up, and it brings the level of wherever the creek's at to the level inside here. You know how water works, how it finds its own level. So we're going to do something about that crack. I'm either gonna use a bunch of foam sealant or a combination of foam and silicone, and then we're gonna put a metal strip or something, some sort of a barrier that's gonna be fastened to the tank, and it's gonna cover that crack all the way around. We'll get it to where it's basically watertight and it can't just do what it's been doing. We're not gonna do that today though, because we don't have time. This place is an absolute disaster. Everything around here is disgusting, muddy, it's still wet. The house is a disaster because it got flooded a little bit. So we need water back on. We need to be able to use water, fill up mop buckets, flush toilets, all that good stuff. Do dishes, laundry. So for the sake of that, you know, we need water back on. We can always drain the tank and fix that crack around the top later. Because it only happens when the creek gets like it does, when it floods like it did. So with that, let's keep going.
This is inside the tank. As you can see, we have it all shot backed out. Now, up here, you can see this crack, and that's where all the water came in. This is the worst of it. You can see almost some dirt back there. We have the floor all shot backed out, and behind that wall is the other side of the tank where Jason shot back in. Those holes in the bottom are where the water can get through to this side. This is our water intake that goes to our house filter system. And around here you can see the rest of it. You can see that there's that long crack along the entire top of the tank so the water can get in.
One more thing I'd like to say, and I think you're gonna see it in the footage, was there was a salamander in there, and before that there was a crawdad. I don't know if those things got in here through the door or from underground. Because if there's literally that much space around the tank and it's all washed out underneath this thing, I don't know. But we're also gonna have to dig down with the excavator or with the backhoe and the tractor eventually around the perimeter of this thing and possibly pour more concrete around it underneath and get it up under there so this can't keep happening. But anyway, I thought I'd just add that in there, that there was literally a crawdad in the tank that Jace found and a salamander. So stuff's getting in and out. That's the bottom line. Now, we're gonna go ahead and keep cleaning this thing and start filling the tank up. All right, we're gonna go ahead and fire up the intake pump. Hopefully I don't gotta fight it and it catches a good prime.
Did somebody say prime?
Megatron, what are you doing in here? Shouldn't you be in the house making a video? Man, Ethan, you gotta take Megatron back in the house. He's getting in my game. All jokes aside, guys, go ahead and check out my son Ethan's channel. He's got a YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description and on the screen here. It's called @SparklessPrime. He does some really cool stuff with the Transformers and stop motion. He's got quite the collection. All right, here we go. So the tank is filling, but way too slow. Both the filters on the intake side need to be switched out. We're gonna do that right quick because I've got both of my restriction valves wide open and it's just barely coming out of that fill pipe down there. And I can hear the water struggling to go through and I can see that filter's caved in. So that just means there's way too much pressure behind it, pushing through it. It's clogged up. We're gonna get that done and continue moving forward. change these filters pretty often. Well, every other week or so. But a little pro tip with these, we put a little bit of grease, red and tacky grease on the threads, because this plastic likes to bind up on itself, and sometimes it's almost impossible to get these to bust loose. So a little bit of grease works pretty good. Alright guys, it's been a little while later. So we worked on cleaning the pump house out, the tank's clean. The tank's actually full up to the limit switch where it shuts off. We actually started using water in the house, so we're good there. One more thing we need to do is redo the dam in the creek. We just have a little makeshift little bunch of big rocks that we build up to stop the flow of water a little bit, so it's a little bit deeper back there by where the intake is. And with that big flood the other night, all that got washed. The rocks got strewn downstream and some of them are just gone. So there are still a bunch there. I'm gonna use the tractor to drive down in there and just push them back up into a little wall. We might have to jump off of it and do some by hand, but we're not trying to make a giant dam, just enough to add a few inches of water to that side. Just like that, we made the creek a little bit deeper up there by the intake. Like I said, we can fine tune that dam. We can throw a few more rocks on it. There's no shortage of rocks around here. But over there now, there should be several inches of water over that pipe intake, which is what we want. That's gonna do it for today's video. We still have a ton of stuff to clean up around here. This place is absolutely a disaster area. But I did want to showcase how we got the pump house back up and running and what we have for a water source. If you go check out the other video about how this thing got here, how it was put together, and how it works, go check that out. But I did want to go ahead and document this and show this. So I think tomorrow we're going to go around here and it's starting to dry up a little bit, especially inside the barn. The barn took it the worst. Stuff literally floated out of the barn. A tractor floated out of the barn, a lawn tractor. So it's starting to dry up in there. There's no more water flowing through it. We're gonna do a video about a damage assessment around here tomorrow and kind of show everything that happened during that insane flood. But right now, what we're gonna do is clean some tractors now that we have water back, because yes, the whole situation was very unfortunate and it sucked, but we took full advantage of that. We went ahead and destroyed the barnyard with mud mowers over the course of the last few days, and especially last night. Check out my mower, for instance. This thing is absolutely covered in mud. It's built up just everywhere. And before it dries out too much, I want to hose her down. It's dried up, it's just crusty. It's all over the gauges, the switches. I got mud clumps, rooster clumps everywhere. And that's just, and my tractor's not the only one. Stefan's is like that, Mabel's is like that, Crusher's is like that. I think you guys saw him tearing it up. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and clean some tractors, and then we're gonna get back to cleaning this place up. We're gonna get this place back up and restored to its former glory. If you guys are new to this channel and you found any of this stuff entertaining, please comment, like, subscribe. And also, this is not the normal kind of content we do. We're just trying to recover from a major disaster the other day. But I did feel like it was important to go ahead and document this and showcase what really goes on out here. And once again, I'm Jason. You guys have already met Colt, Jason, everybody else. Stefan's behind the camera. And this is Tennessee Mountain Homestead Channel. We'll see you on the next one. Now that's much better. I'm gonna finish off cleaning the tires good by driving down in the creek. Those wheelbarrows floated out of the barn. Look, there's ducks swimming by the house. The house is right here. The Murray tractor and the go-kart floated out of the barn.
It did!
I'm almost knee deep in water right here. So yeah, it got even worse. The shop's flooded. That's the bridge foundation, the 4-foot tall bridge foundation underwater. And the pump house is definitely underwater. It's got water over the threshold that I built, so that's done. That's how much water is here.